Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Everything Theater Podcast Backstage episode. I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And I'm Benita Zahn, and it's nice to be backstage.
It is. It's my hair's just thrown up.
And mine is cut short. If you're watching us, Ellen and I were talking. I signed up with Backstage. I think it was through Backstage. Well, you get the cast announcements, and one of the casting companies, I guess my face was the right face for this, because it's a face game, right?
Yeah.
How many times you have done a reading like to knock the socks off, and it wasn't. So I had the right face, and I got called to be a background for the marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
That is fantastic.
But you have to agree to get your hair cut. So it's a.
So was that like a whole salon that they had basically set up, or
there's two hairdressers. And I guess they could put more in. And when you go in for first you got to go down to your PCR COVID test. If anybody, and let me just share all this, if anybody is thinking about getting back into the game and you've been concerned, I'm going to tell you everything I'm reading, and then I saw it firsthand. They are running such a tight ship because, as somebody said, nobody wants the, why can't I say, don't I always do this with names? Tom, he was married to Nicole Kidman, but that's a long divorce. Tom Cruise. Nobody wants a Tom Cruise situation. See if I get around the corner, I get to the name because somebody turned up positive. But so just to give you a sense, I had to go down on a Friday for a PCR test. Then Monday was costume and hair. Had to get a rapid test, and you wait, and when you clear that, then they send you up to the hair guy who decides yay or nay. Then you go to costume, then you go back to the hair guy if you need a cut.
Wow.
And all of the folks who are doing hair and face, because they're so close to you, up until this past week, they were being tested 3 times a week.
Wow.
They just moved to once a week, but they are all masked. All the crew is masked. When you are on set, everybody goes in mask, but you can't record that way. Then you take them off. Crew totally masked. Mask goes back on. And they give you a contact tracer beeper that you are instructed you must keep on you at all times, even on your costume. So in the event a test comes back at some point positive, they know who to get a hold of. Everybody, bye-bye, go home. Thank you. That didn't happen. So they're not playing.
Wow. That is quite a production in itself.
Yep. And I was originally booked to tape on Wednesday. Then in the back and forth with me, they said, oh, could you do Tuesday? It's the Kennedy Wives Luncheon. And that's the one I really wanted to do. So I moved to Tuesday, but when I got there Tuesday and, we're waiting to go into costume and makeup and hair, they call my number and I go, she goes, yeah, they've got you here that you may be shooting tomorrow. Now I knew it was moved, but they did another PCR test. And you can't do this stuff on your own, I learned, because they contract with a company and the company is on site to do the testing. And we were at Steiner Studios in Brooklyn at the old Navy Yards, and every show has an on-site testing company.
Wow.
That's its own show. So there you go, Everything Theater. And I don't know what live theater looks like right now, but if anybody is just starting an experience, please share with us. But my suspicion is it is as tight when you start reading the audition information. Not playing.
I wonder if it's similar to the Gilded Age, is a show that just filmed in Troy, and they completely redid the look of Troy. And I know a lot of local actors here worked on that, so I'm sure it was probably a very similar.
A friend of mine got a call. He had to go yesterday for his PCR. Yesterday, I think, for his PCR test, and he was on set today. So I'll find out. And there's masks, and they give you the KN95. When you're going to be sitting there getting hair done, an even better mask. And if you've just got a surgical mask, which is what I went with, because that's a pretty good mask, they're going to swap them out with you too.
So are those beepers like hidden in your costume while filming?
I put them, since we all have pocketbooks, so I put my mask in there.
See, I wonder how many people are going to be watching, shows this season. All those people try to find inaccuracies. They're looking for masks, sticking out of costumes.
I suppose, but you know how close they are with control. They're taking pictures all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the new world order, kids.
Yeah,
And
and
I
of
had
course,
never been tested.
oh my gosh, that was your first time. How was
Yeah.
it? I still haven't been tested.
Yeah, I mean, I had suggested at News Channel 13 they test us, and they didn't, and whatever. I'm out of there. But it's not bad. They give you you take the swab, they open it up, you take the swab from the end. And I'm trying to think, it's like 5 times in this nostril and 5 in that nostril, and you put it back in the tube
Yeah.
for the PCR. And I think it's 10 for the rapid test. So when I do the 3rd test, it was a PCR. It just, as I'm going to put the thing in, I've got to sneeze, and I miss the vial.
Oh no.
And the gal there, she's all gloved. She grabs it, and we're all like, "Ah." I go, it's okay, I'll do it again. They're like, no, I think we'll be all right. So listen, if you've taken your test for this stuff, let us know how it's gone. We'll share your stories. Have you missed the vial? Share with us. So,
well, of course, that's doing a day on set for a TV show. I wonder, with theater, when you're actually, if you're in a production and you're performing every night, does that mean that every night you're getting tested?
I don't know if they may be going just like with the hair and face folks. Now they've pushed, they were 3 times a week. So
Yeah.
they may be doing 3 times a week rapid test, but there's got to be a PCR in there someplace. And look, I knew I was okay, but you still, you're still going, oh, what do how come you haven't texted me my results yet?
Right. Yeah.
So welcome to the theater, to the magic, to the fun. And the nose swabs.
The nose swab.
At least it's not the one where they're like digging around in your brain. You do it yourself.
Ugh.
So
there it is.
So, Ellen, what else is new?
Besides nose swabs.
Yeah. But it really sort of does take us to the question we had this week. About theater has a way of making a statement and sparking conversation. How can theater do that successfully? Are some theaters successfully producing woke, thought-provoking theater that encourages audience to think new perspectives? Or some theaters getting too preachy, PC, and not allowing the audiences to think for themselves? Where's the line? As a theater company, who are you trying to reach, and how do you reach people and have influence as a company? We asked a lot of questions in that.
There are a lot of questions.
Should
we share kind of where this question originated from? I know we touched on it last time.
Yes.
So my good friend, Steve Lever from Chicago, talked about an experience, and I'm just going to read just, cliff notes of what he said, but he said, maybe it's just a Chicago thing, but we're noticing many theaters are becoming very PC. He went to an audio play, and it was preceded by a lengthy description of what lands the play was recorded on and what tribes they used to belong to. And this is a huge thing happening in Chicago theaters. It's usually in the program, but since this was an audio play, it was spoken. The play had nothing to do with Native Americans. It didn't include Native American actors, but it was something the company felt they needed to do. This may seem trivial to most in the sense of what harm does it do to mention that, and it's respectful to recognize. But my friends and I were talking about how it runs deeper than that. Much of theater right now has become very political, and our opinions many times preachy. It makes one side cheer them on as being woke, yet alienates another and doesn't exactly make people think critically about a situation. So that's kind of where this is stemming from. Because we are seeing, big changes in theaters. And
it's interesting, Ellen, but theater in and of itself, as you well know, has through the ages been, it's on its face, a messenger.
Mm-hmm.
Shakespeare was not just, entertainment strictly for the masses. He was making statements. Oh, there's a lot of, woven in. So it becomes more, I think, now of this, not just the show. I think of just the UNESCO stuff, but I think maybe his issue is what's tangential to the play itself, that the
Yeah.
play should be the thing, but it no longer is.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. And he kind of went on to say, I still love shows tackling difficult issues, but I feel so much of what I see lately is not very thought provoking. It's more preaching to the choir and isn't succeeding in drawing in other audiences. What I'm not a fan of are plays that are getting preachy, even if I happen to agree with what they're saying. I think we're in an extremely interesting time where we are so polarized as a society, and theater can either bring us together or make us start to understand one another, or it can take sides and continue to drive the division.
That's a point well taken. You know, Troy Foundry has been doing some real thought-provoking work.
Yeah.
About social standing, about race. It's the material. It's not somebody coming out with a baseball bat.
Right.
They're presenting theater that should make you think. But if you choose to just see it superficially, that's okay too. You paid your 2 bits, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a sense of you do choose as an audience member what you go to see. And if you're going to something that is thought provoking, is going to address challenges and things that either you believe in or don't believe in, that's great. But if you're expecting to see something that's just for entertainment's sake, and they've put on something that wasn't part of the play itself,
Right.
That's where we're getting into the preaching to the choir. And theater is there's a certain crowd that attends the theater a lot, and I think very like-minded people, and sometimes it does kind of feel like, why am I getting yelled at for this thing that's not related to the play at all? It's just being an audience member here. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I might feel like that some days.
Yeah.
Some days I just want to go and laugh.
Yeah.
I just do. And if you want to condemn me for that, okay, but you don't know the load I've been carrying all day until I walk through that door.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I'm going back to when I walk out the door.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm using me in the grand sense, but isn't that the beauty of theater, is that when everybody walks in and sits down, they have an opportunity to leave behind what may be weighting them down, or to augment what may be supporting them and making them happy. And they just have the opportunity to go someplace else for an hour and a half or so.
Absolutely.
If you can transport your audience, right, Ellen? Isn't that it?
Absolutely. It's an escape. And sometimes that escape, you are in a state of mind where you do want to be faced with issues and really think critically. And sometimes you just want to listen to some Rodgers and Hammerstein,
Yeah. And it's all okay. And I think
Yeah.
that it may be the fulcrum you and I are at with this conversation, is that it's okay to do both.
Yeah.
It's okay if some days I want to be preached at and some days I don't. It's okay.
It's okay. Yeah. And we had a couple of comments. Do you want to?
Yeah. Teresa wrote, some works of art have a message, some are political, some are purely entertainment, some are meant to be ambiguous, etc. There should be no single purpose for any form of art. That's what makes theater, dance, music, fine art so important for society and in education. I think the underlying message there is it opens the door.
Yeah.
You can lead us to water, but you don't have to force me to drink.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think, in terms of the context of the play themselves, there's always a line that's, and when you're trying to make change, there's always a sense of, a lot of times it gets overcorrected before it comes back to, really where everybody would want it. And I think just talking about certain plays in general, I think some plays are very successful in being on that line and not going kind of too far and shouting a message. One that pops to mind, because I know that Sarah Papini is going to be directing it at Schenectady Civic Players, is The Cake. Trying to remember the playwright's name. It's escaping me at a moment. But the premise is a cake owner who feels uncomfortable making a cake for a lesbian couple. And when you hear that description as a liberal, you would say, oh, okay, this is a play all about how it's so wrong, that this person feels this way. But I feel when I read it that the play is fairly successful in showing this, bakery owner as a person and not celebrating her choice at all, but also just showing that she has her own baggage and stuff going on in her life, and it's not making her a monster, and I think a play like that's for me a great example of it. That sparks conversation, makes you think about a different side someone has.
Now let me ask, Ellen, so that's great. I'll use you pays your 2 bits, you go in to see a play about this, but prior to the show, should we be exposed to, because I don't want to use any word that's fraught with pejorative, should we be exposed to the company's philosophy about sexuality and acceptance and perhaps history of the suffragette movement or the history in that community of gay rights? They're 2 different things, right?
Right. And I personally feel like if you want to put it in a program, and let people read it, if they want to take the time to read it, it's one thing. But if you're going to do like a whole curtain speech about it, then that's putting your own opinions on top of the play, and doesn't allow for that critical thinking that the audience should be able to have.
That's right. And as you pointed out, you may think that play is going to have one message, but if you sit there with an open mind and ears, you'll find out that play has a lot of messages that you have to go home and sort out. Well, my husband and I saw it over at Barrington. I think 2 years ago they had it, and I think we discussed it the whole way back to the Capital Region.
Great. Yeah.
You've got one.
Yeah. So Patrick says, when choosing a play, I want something that speaks to me emotionally, civically, and spiritually. Does it move me or make me laugh? Does it ask what we are doing with our lives? Does it ask how do we live together? Yeah.
And again, but you know what? And see, this is how we all bring to the table. It's that separation of the 2. So maybe the next time we need to ask the question, is it so much the show? The play is the thing.
Right.
It's the stuff around the play.
Yeah.
Andre Lucy writes, a very long time ago, I saw Short Eyes in a theater. Nothing conveys an issue better than live theater. I was thinking about it for days. Call it an ancient form of communication. So my takeaway from just the few responses is that people want the play to be the message.
Yeah, I think so. Because if you have a good playwright and a good play, they will do all the work for you, really. You just have to present it with some good acting.
And if there is a social issue transpiring in the community where the play is being presented, I'm almost wondering, and you said it, Ellen, maybe it needs to be in the program notes. Because now there's another question. If I'm sitting there and I'm getting a curtain speech that's more than don't unwrap your candy, and here's where the exits are, and remember there's no bathroom break. Are you now, if you are delivering a monologue about history, have you now taken me out of the moment of being ready to accept the message of the show?
Yeah.
I wonder, And listen, as you're listening to this, if you've got comments, thoughts, please let us know. We're up on Facebook.
Oh yeah, because I'm sure there are probably people who disagree with these thoughts and say, no, it's really important that theater makes a strong stance. And, I understand that point of view as well. Personally, I do say leave it with the play itself. Let the play do all the talking.
Yeah. Yeah. They did all the work for that.
Yeah.
As performers, we don't want anybody getting in that way, do we?
No. Let me make the message.
That's right. So I wonder, have you booked any show, any tickets for Broadway yet?
Not Broadway. No. The next thing I've got that's like big, I'm going to Saratoga Opera to see Man of La Mancha. A friend of mine is playing Aldonza. So very excited for that. But that was interesting because when I called, they're like, okay, so you're gonna have to either have a negative test or proof of vaccination. You have to stay masked the whole time. The restricted audience, because I have lawn seating, but lawn seating is assigned. So you have a certain spot in the lawn where you have to sit. So there's still a lot of restrictions on going to go see something.
Yeah. I haven't booked anything yet. I want to go see Hadestown. That was on my short list before. And bless Sirius XM, I swear, you put it in the universe somehow, and they just keep hearing selections from that show. I'm interested in seeing how the summer shakes out. We need to reach out, Ellen, I think, to the folks over at Williamstown Theater Festival. We just had that great conversation. If you missed it, go back in and take a listen to the conversation we had with Janice from Dina Janice from Dorset Theater Festival. And they're building an outdoor theater, doing productions, I think 3 shows with very small casts.
Yeah.
To get back into the swing of things. So,
I mean, that's something we haven't really discussed yet is, actors are excited that theaters are opening, but there's been such a cutback of cast sizes. Orchestras are being cut down to the minimums. Stage crew is being cut down to only essential people. So it could still be a rough year for people in the arts because there's so many limited spaces.
So let me go back to television. Why is it they're able to do it and live theater isn't? And I know that there's a whole argument about what equity is allowing and not allowing. And we can have a union discussion here. And what SAG is allowed is, hi there. SAG is a different set of rules, SAG-AFTRA, than equity. And
yeah,
at this point, you can't say this one's right, this one's wrong. But SAG is seeming to be able to make it work.
And
hopefully, I understand that you're not bringing a live audience every day. That's a whole nother smoke. In the show, when you're on a set, it's your people who've all been tested.
Yeah. But hopefully a lot of things SAG has learned will pave the way for equity. And obviously, as you said, there's extra things equity has to consider, but at least they're not starting from complete scratch when they've seen it successfully working in the film industry.
That's right. So if you've hit the live stage already, if you're cast, and let us know how it's working. What are they doing? Look, community's got to figure it out too. You don't have a union to stipulate rules and regs.
Yeah.
And how are you getting your testing done? And how often is that testing happening? And what's the contact tracing going on? There's a lot of moving parts.
There are a lot of moving parts. It's like that finishing line is so close, but yet still so far away.
I always say when you run a marathon, that last 2/10 to go and you see the balloons, those darn balloons just keep moving away from you.
Yeah.
I know, been there, done that. You're going to get there. But you're right, Ellen, you're right. It's that last 2/10. You make it or break it,
Yeah.
So if you've been out there and you're on stage, let us know what's going on. What are you doing? What's your director doing? How protected do you feel? Do you think it's over the top? Not enough? Give us a sense. Let us know.
Yeah.
And where are you going to be on stage so we can,
Start
let everybody
plugging some stuff. Yeah.
know? How's your rehearsing going? You've got a nice show coming up. And what are you doing, Ellen? Are you testing?
Well, luckily we have a fully vaccinated cast. So we're not doing any testing, but we just had a conversation on the first day about people's responsibility to each other in the cast. And so I said, it's up to everyone's individual, choice, whether you want to stay masked in rehearsal or not. There'll be no judgments either way, because everyone said, no one said, I need people to be masked. And so I was like, since no one said that to me, then, we're leaving it up to the people, whether they feel comfortable wearing it or not. But I said, but if you're going to go to like some big party and, when you're there, you look around and realize, maybe this was not, the best place to be, because there's a lot of people and I don't know if people are vaccinated. I said, please come and tell me, because then we might need to make a change in rehearsal for a week of people wearing masks or not calling a certain person to audition or to rehearsals.
Yeah.
So, hopefully that communication continues. Yeah. But rehearsals are going really well.
Wonderful. Can't wait to be in the audience and see it.
I gotta say, I always say directing is 90% just casting it right. And I am fortunate enough to say that this cast is they're so fun. I'm just laughing so much. I was crying in rehearsal the other day, and I never as a director laugh at stuff so early, but they're just so fun, and just you can tell they're just loving being up on stage.
And when are you up again? You got to say it every time, Ellen.
Yeah, so it's what's the weekend? I'm pulling up my calendar. It's August 6th through 15th. At the Shaker Heritage site. So we'll make sure all that information gets plastered everywhere. It's a good time. It's a good, speaking of escapism, talk about a show that you just go to laugh.
And we all need that.
Yeah.
So next week, let us know how's it going. How you doing? As the dearly departed, well, some might not say so dearly, but Ed Koch, one-time mayor of New York City, used to say, how you doing? How you doing?
Yeah, I like it.
And I ain't got nothing else for you, dear.
Do you know when your episode of Maisel goes out?
No, I don't. Okay. And I'm such a newbie at this. Nobody talked about when, so at some point I think I'll probably be able to find out.
Yeah.
But there's a little underground, there were repeat offenders there who they get called back to do Maisel. And would I go back? Yeah, who am I kidding? Of course, it's the marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And did I mention that Rachel Brosnahan is a hoot? No tood at all.
Oh, that's great. So talented.
Yeah, and it's so rapid fire. It's interesting. If she couldn't get through the monologue, they kept going. Unless it went south right at the very beginning, she would keep going and print. And they did it, 543 times, of course. So with cutaways, you can just build it.
Yeah.
And pull what sounds the best. And I thought to myself, wow, so nice. There have been times we've all been on stage, right? But that's, so no, I don't know. But there's a lot of casting going on now. And if you're interested in doing anything, get on one of the websites, sign up. You can sign up with Carolyn Coca. She's been casting a lot of commercials. I'm trying to think, there's Carolyn and there's another one. Hudson Valley has a lot of casting. There are a couple of casting agents down there. And there's stuff online. So.
But you made me think of another fun question to maybe throw out was if you're on stage and are having one of those moments where you just do not feel in the show, what do you do? How do you snap yourself back into the show?
Yeah, because if you're thinking about the brewski afterwards, you're in trouble. Well, come on, Ellen. Isn't there that moment of panic when you realize that you've sort of stepped out of the moment and you get this rush of adrenaline that's, "Ugh, get it back, get it back, get it back. Where are you?" Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All of a sudden you start thinking of like your grocery list and you're like, oh no, no, no.
Yeah, no. Come on, girl. Back in the moment. Yeah, the shoes hurt, but get back in the moment. So, well,
Cool.
so yes, anything else you want to chit chat about, let us know. And, we're here Tuesdays and Thursdays. Try the veal, which I would never say or ever do. Let's be clear.
Yes, very clear.
No veal.
Political statement on the show. All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. We'll catch you next time. I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And I'm Benita Zahn. Enjoy everything theater.